Hello world.
Hello, 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 world.
Zero eyeballs on our thing here.
It's just us.
Just the two of us. Oh, can we be copyright stricken for me saying that? Anyway,
Probably. You better watch out now. Don't
I think
sing on key.
I think if it's less than 7 seconds, the algorithm's not going to do anything, right?
You might be right.
But hello world again. It is I, the Black Wizard, and the Black Witch. Say hello, Black Witch. um, yeah, normally we'd have this whole elaborate thing set up, and I would have, you know, put together this whole presentation and, you know, made my case as to what I think about vulnerability and all that good stuff. But this time I didn't do that. So we're just we're just gonna talk. You know, we're just gonna talk about it. It's not like anybody's listening anyways.
Damn.
Yeah, so we're just gonna talk about it, and we'll see where it goes. We'll see what happens. You know, we'll see where it goes, and we'll see what happens.
Sounds like fun. Let's do it.
Are you watching the stream right now?
You mean, do I have YouTube up so I can see it?
Yes.
Yeah, but I have it muted.
Okay, I was just making sure.
Damn.
But yeah, this stream's about vulnerability. So I guess to kind of give the premise of this, you know what I'm saying? Well, what is the premise of this? Oh, well, okay. So you go around the YouTube spaces and the YouTube streets, as we like to call them, and you see these people having these conversations. One of the conversations that you see is about, you know, alpha males and what it means to be a man and the strategies that you must employ if you want to remain in your masculine frame. You see, last time we talked about femininity, feminine frame, all that stuff. And this time I just wanted to talk about something that I find interesting, and that's vulnerability and what that means. Like, I don't know, what's vulnerability mean to you?
Vulnerability to me just means being open, instead of maybe walking up to somebody with your arms in front of your chest, protecting your chest. I'm just using this as a metaphor. Instead, your arms are open. So, if they wanted to stab your ass and take your money, they could do that because your arms are open. You're vulnerable. Your ribs are ready to be checked. You know what I'm saying?
All right, that's pretty dark, but checks for chart with you.
This
So,
is always dark. I'm a witch.
but yeah, the being vulnerable is just about, you know, letting down your guard, being open, and yeah, I mean, I pretty much agree with what you're saying. But I guess, do you think that's important in relationships? What do you think about, like, what do you think about vulnerability when it comes to relationships?
I think it is most important in relationships because this is kind of like the metaphor that I mentioned. If you have something in front of your chest or your face protecting yourself, like a shield or something like that, that person's not going to be able to be close. And if someone's not close to you, they're not able to walk with you and know and understand what your goals are in life, or what you really want or need in order to have a harmonious relationship. So if they're not able to do that, I mean, it ain't finna happen, chief.
Well, do you think somebody can know your goals and you still not be vulnerable? Like,
No, I don't think so, because I think sharing your goals, sharing your next move or things like that. That's being vulnerable to me. Anytime you're sharing what you have planned or how you're going to execute something or the desires of your heart, I think that is literally opening yourself up. You don't walk out on the street, well, normally you don't walk out on the street and tell, strangers or, people like that what you about to do, or, things like that. That's normally something that you tell someone you care about.
It sounds like you're saying vulnerability means opening up to let someone know what you otherwise wouldn't trust a stranger with.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm saying. I mean, not necessarily just that, but I'm just using that as an example.
So when I think about vulnerability, I think about like emotions and um, I guess the intricacies of why you feel the way you feel, like and what you feel, and like exactly what you're thinking from how you feel. So like let's say you're having a bad day, vulnerability to me would be the ability to go to a person and say, you know, today I really felt like um, my whole world was crumbling beneath my feet, and you know, uh, it's been really hard for me ever since my uncle passed away or something like that. So it's like in the sense that is opening up to tell a stranger what you otherwise, or tell someone what you wouldn't otherwise tell a stranger. But I don't think it's necessarily a goal thing. You see what I'm saying?
Well, someone might be emotional about their goals too. I mean, or they just might feel very sensitive about them, or maybe the person standing across from them might be their competitor. They don't want to tell them what their goals are because they feel like maybe the competitor will step in and try to execute their goals in the way that they are trying to execute them, and shut down what they're trying to do.
I find what you're saying really interesting, and maybe we're getting a little bit off topic, but I'll round it back eventually. So, I find what you're saying really interesting because it's like what you said. It's like I would think being vulnerable, in the sense that you're sharing a goal, would only would mostly, I guess, apply to competitive relationships. Like you don't want to show your hand to somebody. Like a lot of people don't want to show their hand to somebody that they think will challenge or take their ideas or undermine or something like that. But in a relationship like where it's two people working together for something, uh, I don't. I get maybe this is just a dude thing. I don't know, but I don't necessarily see sharing a goal as being vulnerable, in the sense that share like because like let's say I talk to dudes about what they want to do all the time. But we don't talk about anything that really, like, I wouldn't consider that anything that really means anything. Like guys will tell me, I'm going to do this or I want to do that with my life, but they won't tell me like anything about what they feel.
Right, I got you. Yeah, I mean, I guess maybe I'm talking more so about friendships or frenemies, or competitors or things like that. I mean, in a relationship, yeah. I mean, you're sharing your dreams, you're sharing your goals and stuff like that. But I mean, if I still feel in a sense it's still it's still really bearing your soul personally. For a woman, maybe. I mean, I guess maybe it's not that way for men, but in a relationship or something like that, sharing your goals and your dreams and stuff like that, I think that's all a part of getting to know the person and really knowing what the desires of their heart are. So to me, that's just being vulnerable, I think, in the way of just relating to each other. It just in my opinion, but I understand how, for men and stuff like that, talking about your goals and what you're doing as far as your business is regular everyday conversation. You know what I'm saying? That's what y'all talk about on the regular.
Uh, yeah. I'm okay. So, like, do you think it's possible? So, okay, let me ask you this question then. Do you think it would be possible for two people to be in a romantic relationship without sharing their emotions?
No, I don't think so. Not a romantic relationship. Maybe, maybe a situationship.
Why not?
Well, if you don't express your feelings and stuff like that, you're not going to move forward. You're not going to grow closer. You're just going to probably smash day day and night. And that's really about it. If you're not talking about your feelings, then you're probably not going to advance any further.
What do you think it is about expressing your feelings or emotions that advances a relationship? And where would it be advancing to?
I'm not sure. That's a good question, but I'm not sure. What do you think?
Um, I think um, I think there's like a sentiment that at least here in the states, in the United States, that sharing emotions or being emotional is considered to be weak. Um, and in order to, I guess, get along in a world that doesn't care about you, you have to put your emotions to the side so that you can concentrate on getting goals or tasks done, um, or so that you don't present your, or I guess in the case of a lot of men feel like if you don't, if you show your emotional side to or around other men, that they will take advantage of you, of your situation, and kind of, I guess, kind of kick you while you're down. When you're in a romantic relationship with somebody, well, I guess I should add on to that that's like a protection. So a protection strategy is, I guess, to hold back your emotions so that you don't present yourself as weak to people, so that you don't get taken advantage of, and so that um, yeah, so people don't take advantage of you. Um, but having that kind of distance, or putting that kind of distance between yourself and your emotions all the time, is very stressful and taxing on your body, because stress is taxing on your body. So um, in a romantic relationship, I think a lot of guys kind of see, and I guess I'll say me as well, it's like wanting to let down, be around somebody who you don't have to put on that performance for, where you have to have your guard up because uh, at some point you want to feel like you can not only be yourself, but um, just thrive in who you are. So when you're with someone who appreciates that or allows you, or you feel allows an environment for you to do that, to me, I guess it would be like you're progressing toward being more you. Um, so I guess opening up to your greatest potential would be opening yourself up and being accepted for and having confidence in all the stuff that you feel makes you that I guess you would feel makes you weak. So I guess what you're headed for is acceptance and strength in my, I guess my opinion.
Yeah. And I think for me, I mean, you may disagree. I think it kind of ties back into what I was saying earlier about vulnerability just kind of being like standing there with your arms open. I think if your arms are open, you're bearing your heart and you are, of course it's a metaphor, but your arms are open, you're feeling, you're expressing your feelings, you're telling this person you want them closer, or that you will allow them or want them in your personal space, in your heart. So therefore you're growing, you grow closer that way, because they want to do it too. They want to be close to you too. They have their arms open too. And if both of your arms are open, then you can see what it really is and what it's not.
Yeah, but I guess there's a idea that floats around on the internet that's like, um, never open up to a woman, let her see your true emotions in a relationship, because if you do, then she's going to. So I guess a lot of guys. So let me finish the thought. Okay, she's going to take advantage of you. She's going to see that as a vulnerability, a weakness, and she's going to um, exploit it or destroy you at some time later. So I guess rounding that back to what I was just talking about, they a lot of guys feel like women, I guess, are competition. So if you think about it, because that's the way that a lot of guys act around men.
Interesting. That's a hell of a revelation there. So you think maybe men are walking up to these relationships guarding their heart, or their chest, just like I was using as the metaphor, because they feel like they have to compete with the person that they're in a relationship with. Is that what you're saying?
I think maybe on some level that could be what's going on. And I think that's kind of supported by a lot of women kind of coming up, or at least a lot of women you see on the internet anyway. I don't know. I've been dating a while. I haven't been dating in a long time. So.
Okay.
But one of the sentiments is you got to make this much. You got to be this tall, and these are the things I'm going to accept for you. So it's very hard to get into the door in the first place. And then it's like, I think because a lot of so let's go back to the opening up about goals thing. And I said that's kind of an idea that I would see, like, you would like that'd be a defensive posture you would take for a competitor, right? So if I were to say that, you know, I don't want to. It's like, I don't know. Like, imagine being a person who has this burden of performance. Like, so the idea is, in order for me to accept you for who you are, you have to make six figures. You have to provide a particular type of lifestyle for me. You have to be a certain height. And there's like a list of things that you have to have in order. And if you don't meet that burden, then the idea is that you are weak. So I guess there's no real room for if that's what's on the table as the minimum line, I guess, for you to be accepted, then there's not really much room for you to be vulnerable, I would say, because how can you be vulnerable in an environment where it's almost like you're constantly having to meet up to this burden of pressure all the time? Like, it's like, you're good for now because you make enough money, but the moment you slip up, we're gonna have some issues, like, I don't know. It's like the game is set up to be like, you're my competition immediately. At least that's what I'm taking from it.
So you feel like men approach the relationships with the societal, I guess, characteristics they're supposed to have, and maybe they don't meet those, so they feel like they just have their guard up initially when they walk up, or the whole time, or
I guess what you're saying is societal expectations. I'm saying those are expectations from women. So women, at least that I've seen on average, have like a very high bar of expectation. So it's like any guy that doesn't meet that bar is almost seen as not worth the effort. So, with six figures being like 10% of the population in the United States, it's like that means about 90% of dudes would feel like if they were in a relationship, there'd be some kind of background noise. It's like, you're not good enough. So it's almost like you can't be vulnerable because you're always trying to meet some kind of bar. It's like you're trying to be like, you can't allow yourself to be open if you're always performing. You see what I'm saying? Like you always have to put on a show. Like, it's like, okay, I got to make sure I'm doing this, or this person's going to leave me. I don't think it's possible to be vulnerable in a situation like that.
I agree, it would be very hard. Always thinking or feeling like the person that you're with, is thinking that you need to be something that you're not, or something like that. I mean, that sounds horrible. And I mean, we could even say probably the same thing for women as well. I think a lot of women feel like they have to have a certain waist size or ass size or things like that these days that they may not have, and I'm sure that probably does make them feel a way walking into some of these relationships and stuff like that too. With lots of women flashing past on their boyfriend's timeline on Instagram all day every day that they can just look at their leisure. It probably does make a lot of them feel like, well, my booty is not as big as hers, or I got this little fupa, you know what I'm saying, and the fupa is fupaing, and I'm sure that the guy I'm with sees that and probably wishes that it wasn't like that, or that my body was different, and I don't know, maybe that makes them feel a way too. I don't know.
Maybe. I think that might be a thing, but I think one of the, I guess, the largest difference that I see right now, at least that I can see, and maybe you can correct me here, is that I see a lot of women with no problem saying that if you don't meet these specific requirements, then you're not a man. I don't really see many men outside of, I guess, the manosphere going out of their way to say, if you don't do blank, blank, and blank, then you're not a woman. You see what I'm saying? Or if you don't meet these burdens of performance. Now, I do see, if you count if you count it on like images in magazines, that kind of stuff, I can see it that way. But I don't see like the regular, average, everyday guy going, if you're not a supermodel, then I'm not gonna mess with you.
Yeah, I agree. That's you're 100% right. It's not something a normal guy would walk up and down the street saying or anything like that. I just think that, of course, you mentioned magazines or things like that, or it being all up and down timelines and things like that when you go on your Instagram, Facebook, things like that. I think that may be the places that it does mainly mess with a woman's head, possibly. But of course, yeah, not in everyday life. You're 100% right. Unless you have an uncle that's really just an asshole. And some of us do, what I'm saying? Some of us have those uncles that are assholes, like they just, you gained some weight, you got 10 pounds, you little heavy now. Last Thanksgiving you was 10 pounds lighter than that. You looking a little chubby.
Nah, it's just Black family in general, if we're being honest.
You're right.
They'd be like, oh, you been eating? Like, it's like, damn, like, why is that the first thing you said to me? I live, hundreds of miles away.
That's the first thing your ass notice, huh? You been eating, blah 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 blah. Well, you're getting old, Uncle such and such. Yeah, yeah, you got bags under your eyes now, nigga. Your hairline receding. It makes you want to clap back like that. But anyway, I'm getting off topic. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, but situations like that, even kind of probably messes with. Well, I feel like it messes with a woman's head and stuff like that too. There's a lot of times they're attacked after having kids or things like that, as if they're not supposed to change or really not given the grace of changing throughout their life as they get older and stuff like that. But yeah, I would say those are the main situations where it is actually right in their face. Someone saying things like that. I mean, obviously, the person that they're with isn't saying stuff like that. I mean, if they are, you probably shouldn't be with them.
Yeah, I would say the guys that tend to say stuff like that are the guys that a lot of women go online complaining about. And those guys are not the average kind of guy. Like, average guys don't go around like, hey girl, you can, like, you need to slow down on the food. You could stand to put the fork down, just a little bit. No, there's not average dudes going around doing that kind of stuff.
Right.
But there are a lot of women nowadays, like, talking about the things that they won't accept from a man, and the typical type of things they won't accept. One of the big ones is money. So, and I mean, I get it. I do think, you don't want to commit in a relationship to somebody who, I guess, doesn't make some type of effort. But yeah, it just seems like the emphasis is less on effort and more on, make this ridiculous amount of money so you can afford me some type of, I don't know. Like, I don't know what women want right now, but but yeah, it comes off a little different. But I guess I'm saying all this to say that with that as the preface to how the relationship starts, I could see how it would be difficult to be vulnerable in a situation like that. But at the same time, I don't think that you can have a relationship unless you are vulnerable. So I think a lot of the advice that I hear from a bunch of dudes online, if I'm being frank, is not good advice. And I mean not good advice in the sense that I don't think it's going to help you be content if that's your goal. It's going to be if you're walking around saying you think I'm just going to use air quotes here, you think women should be your piece, quote unquote, then I don't see what getting with a woman who you feel like you can't be open with or have an emotional connection or be emotional around. I don't see how those two statements can exist at the same time.
You're 100% right. They don't exist at the same time. It's just it's not possible to not relate to someone that you're in a relationship with and still have a successful relationship. Like it's just you don't communicate openly or freely. It's just maybe her crying about how they didn't have the Gucci bag she wanted, and you just like, oh well, babe, I'll get it for you next month, and this and that. I'll go and find it, and then that's that. I mean, how was your day at work? Can you talk about that? No, because you feel like she gonna get mad. I don't know. It's yeah, no.
Yeah, my view on being having an emotional connection is a lot different. So there's a lot of guys in the space now saying things like, you know, marriage is a business. And I won't deny that there are very structural kind of aspects to getting married. But is business the foundation of marriage? I mean, it can be if that's what you want. But I just don't know that, and I'd love to. I mean, if there is anybody ever out there listening, if not now, then later, in the comment section, please, if you can tell me how marriage with a business structure as the foundation, so like not emotion, not the emotional connection is not the foundation of your relationship. The structure, the business structure and the goal setting structure is the foundation. If you can tell me how that works as a long-term relationship, I would love to hear it. I would love to hear how that works because I can't even fathom how I can't fathom how that would work. Because even in the arranged relationships that a lot of the guys are talking about now, that's becoming really popular, you start out with being arranged, but the love ends up in there. You know what I'm saying? So the love eventually becomes the bond of love eventually becomes uh, some level of what maintains everything. I don't know. Maybe this is the American in me. I would honestly love to hear out there what. Please, somebody, please let me know like how does this business arrangement thing work? Um, what are your thoughts?
I mean, I don't personally feel like it works either. I mean, I think if you're there for money or if you're there for okay, well, like for example, as a woman, if you're there for money, I mean, there's no emotional connection. I mean, most of your conversations are about money and finances and not how he's actually doing things like that. And as far as a man is concerned, I mean, once she doesn't look the way that you want her to look, I mean, you looking at the next young and fresh, or I'm sorry, fresh and fit, or whatever, whatever, whatever they're saying these days when you're listening to this, whenever you listen to this. you know, they're looking for that. I mean, it's never an actual connection between the two people. It's always money and youth and how she looks and, you know, this, that, and the third. It's never an actual connection between the two people. It doesn't work. Period.
Now, I think so. Let's take Eastern relationships as an example, especially relationships in Islam, where marriages are arranged, where a lot of marriages are arranged. I think the foundation of that relationship would be more like a business. So, like, it is more involved with getting families together, building wealth through connections and networks. The marriage is kind of like a bargaining chip in that particular situation where maybe family A has farmland or some land or something somewhere, and you know maybe a guy's coming with a lot of industries or resources, and the two families want to connect the land and resources together, and then the foundation of the marriage is more like the union of the families, and making sure that the, I guess, wealth machine continues to go. It's like, I understand that relationships can work in that aspect, but I would argue that most relationships that are fulfilling to the individuals in the relationship, are their foundation is going to be in love and in vulnerability, and not necessarily in romantic love. I'm not talking about romantic love, but more like an all encompassing kind of, hard to explain, but like almost duty bound, ever present kind of love, like a love that's not necessarily dependent on a situation, but I don't know, like a love that is
Like a
bigger than that.
dedication or something like that, you mean? Like dedicated to the person?
Not necessarily, because the love that I'm talking about would bring forth the dedication. So it's like you two working together in this love, and I guess that's what in love, if I was to guess, that's what in love comes from. It's like you working together in this love would help the love grow. The feeling of that love would bring forth the dedication. So it's not like you're doing something because you have to, or you're doing something because you feel good in the moment. It's like some kind of middle ground between the two. There's like it's like working toward a it's like you're working in a relationship together toward a love that's greater than either of you would be able to achieve alone. I know I haven't really explained anything there, but it's what I'm talking about is very difficult to explain.
Yeah, I think I get where you're going. I'm not quite sure how to exactly explain it either, but I think I get what you're saying with it.
Yeah, it's like there's a love that's very emotional, that kind of like slides its way through it creates the honeymoon phase, and it's very it comes around in short bursts. And then there's another love that is like almost like, I don't know, it's like much bigger than that. It's like your ability to strive for something in this love by yourself is great and very fulfilling, but finding somebody that helps you resonate on that level of love together is more powerful, or brings you to a more powerful feeling of this ever present love than you could ever reach on your own.
And of course, you're saying that vulnerability brings that about, right?
Yeah, it'd be impossible to do that without being vulnerable. So you can't, like, because the only way to truly express like this larger version of love that I'm talking about is to be vulnerable. So it's almost like kind of you, but not you. It's hard to explain, but
I got you. Okay, so how do you feel people can be so okay, so we've established, of course, we both agree that a healthy relationship is not possible without vulnerability, period. So what are ways that you feel someone can be vulnerable in a relationship?
I would say a fulfilling relationship is not possible without being vulnerable. Um, and I'm sorry, what was your question again?
What are ways that you feel like people can be vulnerable in their relationships so that, the relationships flourish?
What's really interesting about being vulnerable? The only way, the only way I think there is to do it is to just do it. Like there's not there's not like a manuscript or anything. I think so. Like the only way to be vulnerable in a relationship is to allow yourself to feel what you feel, and just I'm gonna use this phrase because nobody's watching and I can say whatever the hell I want to say, but but have faith that when you express these things that the person is going to accept you for who you are. Check, check, check.
Yeah, I couldn't hear the end of what you said there.
Oh, I said you the only way to do it is to do it. And the way you do it is just allow yourself to express, I guess, the deepest, darkest emotional corners of that you have ever expressed in your entire life around this person. And then just have faith that they will accept you for who you are. And if they don't, then leave them.
Well, damn. Well, yeah, yeah, I'm with you on that. One thing I would say too, just to add on to that, and it's I forget the book that it's in. I think maybe it's the Love and Respect book or something like that. I forget. But and this is random, but just giving your partner the benefit of the doubt, with things. It's like, how's this tie in? It doesn't. It doesn't. It kind of doesn't. But I think giving the person that you're with the benefit of the doubt in them. I mean, unless it's just something that they're doing all the time that is obviously very deliberately to hurt you, just something malicious or nasty. Just being open to the idea that this person is doing all that they can to be the best person that they can be with you. I think, yeah, I think I think that's in a way being vulnerable. This might be kind of random. Sorry, I'm tired as fuck.
No, it's all good. But at the same time, I do think that so somebody could be opening up to you, or you could be giving somebody the benefit of the doubt that they're doing the best that they can and all this good stuff, and actually trying as hard as they possibly can. But at the same time, you still feel like things aren't the way that you want it. You know what I mean? So like, or things aren't the way that you feel is necessary for you to flourish, and you don't want to have yourself. This has nothing to do with the topic, by the way. This and you don't want to have yourself in a situation where years later you're I guess in the same situation, wondering if this person will ever change. So it may be a good idea to kind of assess what, like, this person may be doing the best they can. They may have the best intentions in the world, but that doesn't mean that they are necessarily going to be what you may need for yourself. So that's something that I would say you still have to address and assess depending on your own, depending on your situation. Because, most people, I don't think most people want to hurt anybody. I'd say probably like 98, 99%.
Shit.
98, 99% of the population doesn't actually want to hurt people.
Shit.
Well, and I say that because, like, most of the time, when people tell their own stories, they're the good guy. If people wanted to hurt you, they wouldn't care. You know what I'm saying? They wouldn't care if they were the good guy or the bad guy. They'd frame it in whatever way they wanted. They'd be like, "Yeah, I heard that, son, bitch. I don't give a fuck." You know what I'm saying?
They just don't be wanting the person that they talking to think or know that they the bad guy. But that's it. They don't care about being the bad guy. They'll be the bad guy all day as long as they ain't saying it to the person that they talking to at the moment.
I don't know that that's true though, because a lot of the story that we tell other people are the same story we tell ourselves. So when people talk to other people and they're afraid of being the bad guys, because on the inside they're afraid of being the bad guy. You know what I mean? It's not because they want to. It's not necessarily because they want to look good to that person, unless they are a sociopath. Now that's a different kind of person. They're like, if somebody's like deliberating on that level, they're a sociopath. All right, so it's like.
I mean, you probably right, but I'm just telling you, like, most of these people out here do not give a fuck. They don't give a fuck.
Anyway, I think most people don't want to hurt people, and yeah, and going back to the manosphere and what I see a lot of guys saying with being vulnerable, and you know what I'm saying, like, or I guess not being vulnerable and trying to still be in a relationship with somebody in the United States. I don't see what the purpose of a relationship like that would be. And I see we got more viewers, so if somebody wants to say something in the comments, let us know what's going on. You know what I'm saying? Like, what I don't know what the point of being in a relationship with someone would be if you're not letting your guard down. Like, how can you function in a relation? Like, how can you function long term in a relationship like that? So there are people, and we talked about this a little bit ago, there are people on the internet right now saying that, if you get in a relationship with a woman, don't ever show any emotion, because at some point she's going to leave you because of it. She's going to see you as weak. And go ahead.
She gonna leave you if you don't show no emotion. What you talking about? I mean, well, not you, but I mean, just like, she gonna leave if you don't show no emotion. So you, they trying to make you single, bruh. Telling you some stuff like that.
No, what's really interesting about that idea too is like, so a lot of the same spaces you'll hear that in is the same spaces you'll hear, I want a woman to be my piece, which is the idea that you can let your guard down and be vulnerable around somebody. And then like the whole, I guess, alpha strategy where I don't know, it's like I forgot where I was going to go with that, the alpha thing. But just taking the you want a woman to be your piece and the don't show emotions around women ideas and putting them together at the same time. They don't work together. Like you can't be in a relationship and have a woman wanting to quote be your piece so that you can let down your guard and exist as you are around her and just be as you are and relax, and then at the same time feel like you have to be on your toes in the relationship at any given point, because if you express any emotion she's going to leave you. Like there's a lot of guys, oh, here's where I was going, there's a lot of guys talking about this kind of alpha mentality where and by the way, I really dislike that, but maybe I'll go into a stream about that some other day. But the this alpha mentality thing where they're talking about you know did I just lose it again? They're talking about don't express your emotions, this kind of thing. Yeah, I lost it again.
No, it's all right. No, I feel you. I lose it all the time. That's why I be over here quiet a lot of the time. But yeah, I mean, I lost it now too. No, I'm just kidding. No, it really it is. It's, I mean, it's just virtually, it's impossible to be in a relationship and just not be vulnerable, not express yourself. The person you're with won't even know you. How can someone be your peace if they don't know you? They wouldn't know what to say to calm you. They wouldn't know what to do to calm you. They wouldn't know how to be there to listen to you in the style that you need to be listened to. Some people like for somebody to be a sounding board for them. Some people like to just be held when they're being sad or things like that. It just doesn't make sense.
You bring up a very, very interesting point, and I say that because I just a revelation just dropped into my mind from the ether. So that revelation was that. So remember on the femininity thing we were talking about, there's a lot of women out here on the internet, a lot of ladies saying that, if you're around a masculine man, then you will be feminine, right? The I think this be my peace thing is like the opposite of that. So it's like the idea that if a woman is feminine and around you, then you will be able to let your guard down. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I can see that.
So it's almost like relying on the woman to allow you to be comfortable with who you are.
Yikes.
Yeah, so it's almost like the idea is unless a woman is feminine, then I cannot truly be myself. I always have to put on a show. I always have to be in competitive mode. And even around the women today, right now, you know, if I'm not in that competitive mode 24/7, because these women are maybe, not in a feminine frame, if I'm not in that competitive mode, then and I show that vulnerability, that side of me that can be hurt, then she's going to leave me. And what's really interesting about that, okay, here we go, is that there's the guys claiming, be alpha 24/7, but they're scared of showing a very human side of themselves around another person. So scared, in fact, that they let it dictate how they behave around somebody. So a lot of the idea behind being alpha is that you just do what you want. Well, how are you doing what you want when you won't allow yourself to have an emotion around somebody at the fear that they're going to leave you? I don't understand. I don't understand how that works.
It doesn't. Yeah, like you. I mean, that's a hell of a revelation right there.
Yeah, so I guess the quote alpha thing to do in this situation would be like show your emotions with no fear about how she'll take it or not. And if she don't like it, she can leave.
Yeah, that would be the most alpha thing to do, with letting your balls drop and everything like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's like, so I want to keep tying this back into vulnerability, but I feel like I'm branching out into other things. And one of the other things I think I'm branching out into is like, what is being alpha, quote alpha, end quote, if you feel like you are like, because a lot of the idea behind red pill philosophy was to just initially was to just be your own man and get off the quote plantation, end quote. One of the things that was with the plantation was that there's a bunch of burden that is put on men from society and from women and things like that that make men a slave to the system, to everything, and they're not able to have their own agency. And the red pill was supposed to free men from that. But what guys are talking about now, which is really interesting since PUAs have picked up the red pill, is that it's almost like they're telling you to be a slave again. It's almost like, because it's like, all right, be careful around women, don't show your emotions around them because, you won't be able to hold a relationship with her if you do. So, you're going, it's almost like you're going back blue pill now. Like that. It's really, really bad. It's really, really interesting and backward.
Wow. Yeah, you got me scratching my head on that one. That's pretty. That's pretty crazy. Thinking about it that way is pretty crazy.
Yeah, because like the whole point of red pill is to be your own person. Like, because who came up with the red pill? Well, it's the men going their own way. Men going their own way came up with red pill philosophy. One of the key things behind the ideology was that men make their own path. They're not beholden to what other people think anymore. Now, you got guys in red pill philosophy telling people to be careful of what other people think again. It's like almost full circle. And one of the things that they're telling you to do is actually to not be a man anymore, if you really think about it. Like, so when we were talking about femininity last week, I said there was two types. There's a type that is social, that is given to us through gender roles, kind of things like that, and it's a construct. And then there's a part that is essence, kind of like essence of the universe. It is what it is. With men, I would think that it works the same way. So if you're a man, a human being, and you're given these emotions, or born with whatever you want to call that, you're born with emotions, and you spend your whole life constantly on guard, never being vulnerable. You can't be vulnerable around your parents. You can't be vulnerable around anybody. And you're just looking for a relationship that will allow you to drop your guard. But even in that relationship, you can't drop your guard. So it's like you can't do the one thing that makes you human, which is experience your emotions. You can't do the one thing that makes you human. I would argue in that instance that you're not truly experiencing yourself as a man if you're not experiencing those emotions. That's what I would argue.
And I think you're 100% right, especially, with the mantra of MGTOW in mind. I mean, men going their own way, men being men, men exploring, men being themselves. It's inherently you all's thing to just kind of let it all hang out, for lack of a better way to describe
You
it.
in this let it all hang out thing.
I don't know. It just makes me think of man spreading. Like,
Oh my goodness.
sleepy, babe. I'm sorry.
Anyway, no. Yeah, I get what you're saying though. I'm glad we have this conversation because it really makes me realize, because a lot of people were saying things like, certain things are blue, like blue pill, or the space is blue pill. And really thinking about it and how the space started, I can actually, I think I might agree. I think the way red pill is set up now puts you back on the plantation, which is what red pill was set up not to do before. So red pill, created by MGTOW, and when it was headed up by MGTOW, was talking about going your own way, being your own man, doing what you got to do. Red pill now is basically telling you to go back and be beholden to women. It's not telling you that exactly. It's framing it in this way where it's like, oh, you don't be vulnerable around these chicks, cut off heads, take no prisoners. But at the same time, it's got this hidden message. And the hidden message is like, okay, as you're cutting off these heads, be careful, because these women, if you show your emotions around them, they're gonna leave you, and you don't want them to leave you. So you gotta, be on your toes, because you don't want to be vulnerable around these women. It's like, well, am I being my own man and doing what I think is appropriate for me, or am I not? Am I allowing somebody else to control my destiny, or am I not? I don't know. It's a very interesting concept. Hey, Green.
Absolutely. With the slave tone in your voice, it was perfect, sweetie. You delivered it perfectly.
No, maybe that's something I'll talk about. And I think I'm going to do more structured videos, because I can even tell by the way that I structure these live streams, or I've structured most of them, not this one, but the way I structure most of them, that I would probably do better if I were setting up like actual videos. So I'm gonna have to get that one video that's been in my queue for a year. I'm gonna have to get that out of the way so I can do some more videos.
Uh-oh.
But yeah, you got anything to say? You got any final thoughts, I guess? I mean, we've been talking for an hour. It's probably good enough.
Yeah, not anything other than what I've already kind of was saying. Just, vulnerability is very important in relationships. We should all try to open our hearts to who we're with.
Yeah, honestly, I don't think there's another way to do it and be fulfilled. No. I say and be fulfilled. Like, you could do it. You probably maybe you'd even get a lot of money. But I don't know that there's a way to be in a relationship, not be vulnerable, and become the highest version of yourself. I don't see how you can do that. I don't see how that would be possible. I would love for somebody to explain it to me. You guys want to come up? The whole 2 viewers we got want to come up, talk to us about it for a little bit. I'd love for you to do that. Or if nobody ends up coming up and you're listening to this because you're bored later, please in the comments, please somebody tell me, please. I really want to know how do you be in a relationship constantly on guard and live a fulfilled life at the same time? Maybe you don't care about a fulfilled life, and that's fair, but I really want to know. All right, so you Gucci?
Yeah, I am. I hope you all have a wonderful night. Thank you. Or day, whenever you're tuning in. Thank you for watching. Much love to you.
Yep, I'll have to make sure that the next one is structured a lot better than this one. But yeah, it was a good conversation, and thank you for all the 2 people that tuned in, or 3. No, I saw 3 at one point. So thank you for the 3 people who tuned in. Nice rocking with you. Always good to have people listening. And yeah, we will we'll catch you later.
Bye.